All right, I'm the flat rate master. And does your shop need a shop foreman? So first off, let's talk about the roles that a shop foreman may be required to fill. Taking on the heavier, more complex diagnostics, testing, assessment, whatever you want to call it, taking on the problem childs, the comebacks from other technicians that couldn't figure it out, dealing with some of the harder stuff that comes through the shop. Possibly riding with customers on various complaints, managing workflow through the shop, verifying parts, making sure technicians have everything they need to do their job, helping technicians when things go wrong. There's a lot of things that a shop foreman will do that a shop manager, shop owner will never see. There's a lot of nuance to, well, being a shop foreman. Now, one of the things we need to talk about is, well, how to pay them. Now, there is a base salary, hourly, whatever you want to call it. Just he gets paid this much money and that's it. I don't agree with that simply because I know how hourly employees tend to act. And yes, it may not happen to everybody, but there are some things that, happen when there's nothing on the line for somebody. So next pay system is same hourly salary set up with a production bonus or some sort of bonus based on gross profit or other incentive to make sure the shop runs as efficiently as possible. Other option, and there's going to be some caveats to this pay system, we're going to talk about that. So before you start writing in the comment, and that is how I'm paid. My pay system here is I'm flat rate with a production bonus. I get paid on what everybody else does in the shop, as my job is to make them as efficient as possible. I deal with the problems. I deal with some of the problem childs. I've got some really good diagnostic guys here, so a lot of times they can handle it by themselves, but sometimes just another set of eyes on a problem will help solve it. I mean, we all kind of meld together and try to help each other. And that is the pay system that has a lot of caveats with it. So let me explain. One, you have to hire somebody that understands that they're here to support the rest of the techs. What I mean by that is you can't be sucking all the gravy as the flat rate shop foreman. You can't be taking, all the Honda timing belts that come through or all the gravy tickets. You got to be, spreading those out across everybody. To give a good example of how I do it, we had a previous rec come in for a technician that is no longer with us. And it was a Honda timing belt, gravy ticket. Now I had 3 techs that had, the time and availability to do it. How do I choose them? Well, I decided on the most random method possible. I chose a number and had them choose corresponding numbers, and the closest one to that number won. It happened to be Paul, but it could have been Billy, it could have been Josh, but it was the fairest way to determine who would get that ticket. Now, if you notice, I was not in that conversation. I could have assigned it to myself. I was available as well. I could have taken it and just done it and been like, oh, whatever. But that's not how I operate. I operate on, if anybody's going to be out of work in this shop, it's going to be me. Now, the reason I tell that story is that is imperative with a shop foreman that's flat rate that assigns tickets. They have to understand that they're here to facilitate the other guys being as efficient as possible. You can't just grab gravy tickets all day and throw the rest to the wind and, I have to deal with it if they screw it up. You can't do that. You have to be very careful about spreading out all the work, whether it's, grabbing that 2022 oil change. I had the highest car count of last year because I grabbed so many of those oil changes. I got told by management to stop it, so. But anyway, it's important for any shop foreman to distribute tickets like that. Whether they're hourly with commission, or flat rate. You have to assign tickets as evenly as possible and not, you can't do favoritism. You can't. You distribute tickets as well evenly as you can across your skill set that you have. It's an important caveat if you're thinking about paying a shop foreman, flat rate, is they still have to turn hours. I'm going to tell another story, not because I'm, bragging on myself, but it's a fact of life for a shop foreman. I was doing cams on a Chrysler 3.6. I think it was a Dodge. My boss was using my other bay to work on his diesel Land Cruiser. So he was there for a couple hours while I was doing this cam job, and he watched me getting pulled off this job multiple times, answering questions, assigning tickets, solving this problem, dealing with this. And he noted to me that I never got mad, I never got upset. I just dealt with it and went back to what I was doing. Now, I tell that story for two reasons. One, that is part of your job as a shop foreman, to deal with all that kind of stuff without getting pissed off, without getting irritated, any of that stuff. The other reason I tell that story, as a shop foreman, you have to be meticulous in your work, because guess what? You're getting pulled off that job often. Whatever job it is, you're going to get pulled off it, whether it's a oil change, a brake job, cam replacements on a 3.6 Chrysler, you're going to get stopped a lot. So you have to make sure you know exactly where you were in that process. So go back, recheck if you're not sure where you stopped, because you have to do that on a constant basis. You're constantly interrupted in whatever thing you're doing. So it's really important, if you hire a shop foreman, that they have the correct mindset. Now, the reason I say that is one of the things I see a lot with shop foremen, is they don't have that mindset. They have the mindset of, I can manipulate the system so I make more money, or I can help Buddy out because he's my guy. You can't do that. You have to be as fair as possible and understand that no matter how you're paid, how your expectations are of how much hours you bill, I've heard average shop foreman should bill about 30 hours. I bill about 55. So take that with what it is. Back to my point. Just because he's the most senior guy in the shop does not make him the best candidate as a shop foreman. Now, a shop foreman needs to be top tier technician. They can't be, just a kid that's real enthusiastic and likes helping people. They need to have the knowledge to back them up. They need to figure out problems, because trust me, problems are what most shop foremans deal with. It's what I deal with on a daily basis. Helping this tech with this problem, helping this tech with this problem. Oh, this broke. How can we get it out? Kind of thing. So it's really important that the shop foreman you do choose for that position has that mindset and that skill set. They got to be uber problem solvers. So I say all of that to getting into, do you need a shop foreman? How is your shop workflow? One of the biggest benefits to a shop foreman is optimizing shop workflow. Whether it's who gets what tickets, shifting, watching constantly of work in the shop. That's one of the advantages of being a shop foreman rather than to be a shop manager, because you're in the shop. You don't just look at a computer screen and go, oh, he's only got this. But if you talk to him, he's having major problems fixing this car, and he's not going to be able to take more cars because he's got a problem. Shop foreman that's in the shop constantly will know about it because he's probably helping fix that problem. So it's really essential that you look at how your shop operates. It's not just about how much income does your shop produce. Can you afford a shop foreman? It's whether or not you can afford to be without one. Because a lot of shops would really benefit from having a leader in the shop that's directing everything going on. Trust me, it's hard. It's not a, easy thing. When I first took over as shop foreman here, we had no shop foreman. It was a learning curve for me. I've always been helpful in the shop, helping guys, helping, other techs figure stuff out. Always been like that. But you have to lead the shop in various ways. From, understanding that, oh, this is going to be a problem. I need to steer this a different direction, stuff like that. You have to anticipate a lot of issues just from your computer desk. You have to know, well, is this a good ticket to assign to this tech? I know he's available, but is this the best fit for this? And that's a lot of the dance you have to do as a shop foreman. Not just so much is, this ticket going to make him money, is this the best fit for this customer, this car, and this technician? Now, one of the things I have to say is that management, the guys up front, really need to stay out of the shop as far as micromanagement. If you've got a shop foreman that is being micromanaged by everything, he's probably going to quit, or he's going to step back and say, I don't want this job anymore. You got to let them choose the path for the shop and help him adjust as the shop needs change. Now, a good shop foreman will be able to see some problems and shift the direction, but perspective from the sales team can help him understand the problems they're having with, some of the workflow in the shop. So it's important to actually communicate. But you don't want to have somebody breathing down your throat going, why isn't this car done? Why isn't this car done? You need to let him do his job. Now, I don't have that problem here, but it is a well-known problem that a lot of shop foremans get pushed under that micromanagement. It's usually from already known micromanaging managers. So, if you're looking at being a shop foreman, keep that in mind. Biggest advantage, though, to having a shop foreman is problem cars and broke stuff. When something goes wrong with a repair, it's great to have a technician that can drop everything, go over there and help solve the problem. That's one of the biggest advantages to having a shop foreman is, oh, this bolt just broke. We need to get it out. You've got a junior technician that doesn't have a lot of experience extracting broken bolts, but you've got a shop foreman that does. Well, he goes over there, helps him get the bolt out, the repair moves on, and that will drastically improve the chances of a successful repair that doesn't cost the shop or the customer a lot of money. The old, the meme of, every job is a broken bolt away from... Something to keep in mind on your shop flow is if you're seeing things that you can't solve from the front office, you might look at hiring a shop foreman. When it comes to paying a shop foreman, I would immediately throw out the hourly, just straight salary thing, because no incentive, no helpy. I would definitely go more towards the hourly with production bonus or flat rate with production bonus, with the caveats you have to have the right person to do flat rate and be a shop foreman. It is not an easy thing to deal with. Managing 5 techs, if they don't have the right mindset, it can easily go bad, especially when you don't have the right person that understands that the shop foreman should not be leading the board. The shop foreman should be making sure everybody else is leading the board. By that, I mean billing the most hours, making the most money for the shop. Because as I said, when it comes down to it, if anybody in the shop doesn't have work, it's me. I have literally sold tickets to techs that didn't have work because I had enough and they needed work. So the important mindset when it comes to shop foreman on flat rate. So hope you enjoyed this video. As always, thanks for watching. I am the Flat Rate Master.